Mark, what impact will this strike have on the education system of Nigeria?
Like many other strikes, it will elongate the stay of students in school. So when they have people that are meant to be in school for a 4 or 5 year course, you have them doing at the very least. And then for many schools, by the time they come back, you have a situation where they rush the students through the rest of the semester. And so it means that even the quality of teaching at that point, it drops because they're trying to meet up with your calendar, to find a way to balance or to normalize your calendar. But let me be a bit politically incorrect here. You see, in honesty, I was surprised that this strike took a long time in coming from 2013. I feel like whatever agreement the government reaches with ASSU currently will once again be postponing another strike. And that's because we haven't come to some certain harsh realities in this country. And one of it being the Nigerian government doesn't, I doubt it to ever have, maybe unless in the far future, have the money to fully support what you want to call a top-class university education system. That's one of the biggest problems with such situations. That strike after strike, we do not see ideas, either from government or from academia, on how can we solve this problem. It's the same story. We need more government funding. And government will, at some point, with the strikes, they are back in their corner. They will sign anything to get back, to get the lecturers back in the classroom. And after a while, the lecturers realize that all the promises made are not forthcoming. They go back to striking. It's a routine. It has become a cycle. We need more ideas to break out of that cycle if you're really serious about ending this once and for all. Until we get there, it's going to be a strike, suspension, and a strike, and back again.
So I do not believe that our universities are receiving the required funding that universities should receive, given the number of students that our universities accommodate every year. So I am not saying entirely that universities should rely on governments for their day-to-day activities. I think that governments should support universities, but our academics themselves should be able to come up with innovative activities in order to sell out whatever they are doing, to acquire funding from the industry or from wherever they could acquire funding, like universities in other parts of the world do.
Well, so where is Nigeria missing it from? What exactly is the problem?
If we take an holistic look at the problems and what some of us have actually been suggesting in the last couple of months and last couple of years, you'd actually see that, of course, these challenges look very, very big, but they are not insurmountable. These are challenges that we can actually, these are issues that we can actually resolve. So we need to, first of all, start from the accountability of these lecturers themselves, accountability of ASSUs, of vice chancellors, okay? Open up your books, the building projects you are doing, the library projects you are doing. How much do you, give out these contracts? Who bids for these contracts? Okay, how much do you pay your staffs? How much, do you use in running generator on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis? So ASSU itself, the universities themselves, the vice chancellors themselves, they have to open up their books. Okay, they have to be accountable. There has to be transparency in the education sector. Now, coming to the government, of course, the government has a lot to do. The government has a lot of policy work to do. A lot of, most of the blame actually falls on the government. Okay, because when I was at uni, I graduated in 2008. My school fees was around, I went to a federal university in Nigeria. My tuition was around 8,400 or 8,500 naira. How much exactly, 8,500 naira by, say, 20,000 students? That is not even enough to pay for the salaries of the academics that actually lecture at that university. Talk more of building infrastructure, talk more of research, talk more of focusing on employability skills.
Even with the economic situation of the country, some are of the opinion that the demands of the lecturers are unrealistic. Do you agree?
I don't know if it's unrealistic in the sense that they had a memorandum of understanding with the government. And so if somebody's saying we had an understanding and you need to tone it up, right, they have a right to do so as far as both parties legitimately signed on that agreement. Whether that what they agreed on is a different conversation altogether. But I do want to say that if we think about the fact that ASSU is basically saying we had this agreement in 2013 and we're still asking you to enforce that, that to me is problematic. It shows that we have a government that doesn't honor their word. I mean, most of us are not surprised by that anyways. And so to me, I think that when we look at the amount of money they're asking for, that's a little bit high, but let us compare what goes on in countries that have very, very excellent institutions. Education is not cheap. It comes at a price. So once we stop looking at, oh, this amount of money, that blah, 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 and actually focus on what they're asking for, how can you have a professor with a class size of 500 to 1,000 students and has 1 or 2 teaching assistants, even if, how do you expect him to function? He's teaching in an auditorium and you're expecting an old man to shout across the auditorium over 500 students. People at the back of the class, they can't see the board. There's no school tech. There are no libraries. There are no labs. Somebody's studying computer science. You're telling them to read a textbook that was published in 1985. Like, it doesn't make any sense. If I was a professor, I would have a problem with that. So I don't think that what they're asking for in terms of saying, look, we need a better system, educational environment for the students. We need to be paid better. I don't think they're asking for too much, but whether that's feasible is a different conversation altogether.
Well, thank you guys. Thanks for coming on the program and sharing your thoughts, but we have to leave the conversation here. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back with another perspective. Stay with us.